I think this should be the actual thing. This is pretty funny. I've been gone for 6 months. This is my welcome back podcast.
Welcome back, Cotter.
Well, it would be funny if it was welcome back Proctor, but I'm not Proctor anymore.
You're not.
Welcome to the Crooked Table Podcast, where we discuss the world of film from a fresh angle. And now your host, Robert Yaniz Jr.
Welcome to the Crooked Table Podcast. This is Rob, and on this episode, I actually have a special guest with me.
Hi, it's Kai. I'm back.
How long has it been? Has it been?
It's been a little over 6 months.
Was it? No, more than that. Was it? What was the last thing we talked about?
I don't even remember.
Suicide Squad?
No.
Ghostbusters? No. Something like that?
No, was it that?
No, it was Nightmare Before Christmas, I think, October.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was right before you had our baby.
That's right.
Who is also here with us. So if you hear any sound effects in the background, like baby noises or grumbles or the shuffling of a small creature, it's don't be alarmed. There's no woodland animals sneaking up on us. It's actually our daughter here, who it's actually kind of fitting that she's on this episode with us because we're going to talk about Wonder Woman, which is now finally in theaters. And I know we're getting this up a little bit after it's come out and taken over the box office, but I really wanted last episode, Crooked Table Podcast episode 50, to focus on sort of a retrospective and a look forward. And I really wanted to make sure we can get Kai on this episode to talk of some Wonder Woman. So that's pretty much what we're going to be doing today, is going in depth on Patty Jenkins' new film Wonder Woman. So let's just get right into our review.
What is your mission?
To stop the war.
What war?
The war to end all wars. Weapons far deadlier than you can ever imagine.
The war can be ours.
Wherever you are in more danger than you think.
I cannot stand by while innocent lives are lost. It is our sacred duty to defend the world, and it's what I'm going to do.
All right, so Wonder Woman is the first solo feature for the DC Comics character after, what is it? I think it's 76 years since she debuted on the page. And it somehow has still maintained a reputation as one of the company's trinity of iconic superheroes. You have Batman, who's been in a bazillion movies, Superman, who's also been in a bazillion movies, and Wonder Woman now getting her first starring role after Gal Gadot played her in Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. So for those of you who haven't heard the review segments on this podcast, we go over the hype, the story, the cast, the production, and the verdict. So going first up into the hype, normally this is where I kind of lay the groundwork for the franchise or character's history and, kind of the road up to its release. But I sort of already touched on that, so I think I'll just go over to Kai. Kai, before this movie, what was your familiarity with Wonder Woman as a character, as a property, and, what were you sort of expecting from this new film?
Well, my understanding about Wonder Woman was really the Linda Carter portrayal back in the 70s. I mean, I didn't watch the show, but I've seen... It's
a little before our time.
Yes, a little before our time. But I saw, video clips and I heard about the Invisible Jet. I think, I think I knew a lot about Wonder Woman from those I Love the 70s shows that they used to show on VH1.
Oh, yeah, they did a lot of... Did they do a lot of references to that show? Because that was a kind of a phenomenon back in the 70s.
Yeah, they referenced Wonder Woman. They referenced the Hulk show. So that's how I first, I think, became aware of the Wonder Woman show, was from the 70s edition. And then that's it. I never officially watched it. I don't know.
You didn't know anything about her origin, really. You're like, she comes from an island. Did you even know that, or until I told you, or not really?
I think I knew that she was from the Amazon, but I thought that was like the Amazon jungle in
Oh, wow. Okay, so you basically didn't know anything about the origin.
Not really.
You didn't know about Steve Trevor or Themyscira or any of that?
No.
Okay, I knew a little bit more than that. I also didn't watch the Linda Carter show. Linda Carter, who's been on Supergirl this past season that just ended, which is now on Netflix, so if you want to see some Linda Carter stuff. I was moderately more familiar with her than you because Freddie, when he was a kid, watched the Justice League show and Justice League Unlimited, the animated series, where she's basically the female lead alongside Batman, Superman, and assorted other DC heroes. I also, after BVS, I checked out the 2009 movie that DC put out with Wonder Woman voiced by Kerry Russell and Steve Trevor voiced by Nathan Fillion. So I was familiar with some of the elements of her backstory there because I knew that this movie was coming out, and I was also kind of a Wonder Woman novice in a lot of ways, and I wanted to sort of brush up on that. I think the fact that, like I said, she's basically had minimal pop culture impact since the 70s. I mean, for non-comic book readers, like if you're not into this stuff and playing the video games or watching the shows, you probably have heard of Wonder Woman but really don't know anything about her, which is why I think this film was so important that they get things right, because this was their chance to tell her origin story. This was their chance to launch her to the same level of popularity of people like Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, the X-Men, and heroes like that. Is she moving around a lot? Yeah, she's really curious of what's going on. And also the fact that it kind of comes after a string of very, for lack of a better term, crappy female-led comic book movies. I mean, I've seen pretty much all of them, but Kai, you're not really familiar with Supergirl, Catwoman, Elektra, or any of those, really, right?
No.
Yeah, and I had seen them all. I grew up watching Supergirl before the movie, not the show, before I even knew that it was terrible, much like Howard the Duck, which I also grew up watching. And I saw Elektra and Catwoman in theaters, and like the rest of the world was very dismayed at how crappy it was. And I think if Wonder Woman had been terrible, and we'll get to this in a little bit, whether we think it is terrible or not, but if it had been received terribly by critics and audiences and not had the sort of box office success that it's had, I think that studio heads would have learned the absolute wrong lesson and been like, see, nobody wants to see a lady saving the day, even though that's really outdated, misogynistic way of viewing things, especially in the wake of, Furiosa and Katniss Everdeen and all these female-led, bad. I mean, we have a female hero for the new Star Wars trilogy. That's how far we've come since back in the day when Princess Leia was essentially the only female character in the old series of movies. So I think that Wonder Woman has a lot of has a chance to sort of confirm that people do want to see more diversity in their superhero properties. And when I say more diversity, I mean specifically gender diversity. And I guess that's a good segue. Do you have anything more for the hype to add?
Well, I think that it's good that this movie was received as well as it has been, because I was worried. I know you mentioned this to me as well, but I was worried that if this movie was panned, then they wouldn't make another female superhero movie.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying.
Yeah. I'm like 50% listening to the podcast, but I'm also 50% trying to not have my daughter fall out of the carrier.
Well, do you want to readjust her or something?
Yeah, I probably should do that.
You can do that while I'm talking.
Yes.
So let's segue into the story. So Patty Jenkins directed the new film Wonder Woman, and this starts out with Diana, Princess of Themyscira, on her paradise island with her mother Hippolyta. I always get kind of tripped up with these mythology-centric names sometimes. And she's played by Connie Britton or Connie Nielsen.
Connie Nielsen.
Connie Nielsen. I always do that.
I think I said that to you last night.
Yeah, you confused me.
I did confuse you.
You threw me off. So it basically starts out with her on Themyscira, and of course she's training to be a warrior. And World War I pilot Steve Trevor, played by Chris Pine, sort of crash lands. I mean, this is all in the trailer, so this isn't even. We might get into spoilers in a little bit, but this isn't even spoilers. So from there, she sort of ventures off of Themyscira to kind of guide the world of man and set off on a mission of her own. And I guess that's the most we could say without really getting into specifics on what her motivation is. So passing it over to you. You want me to hold her a second?
Sure.
Passing it over to you, Kai. Do you what did you think of the story and where we start with it? Where was that interesting to you, or were you like, I don't care about this island of ladies, let's just get to the action? Or what was your sort of takeaway?
I really liked the island one. It's absolutely gorgeous the way it was filmed in the movie.
Did you look up where it was shot yet?
Oh gosh, no, I forgot.
You were suspecting like the Greek Isles or something like that.
Yeah. But if it wasn't Greek Isles, it would have made the most sense because Wonder Woman comes from Greek mythology.
Right.
But no, I actually really liked the island, and I liked seeing all the women battle each other. It actually felt like really touched by that because I think being
not battle each other. It was basically Amazon.
training.
I thought you were talking about that big battle scene on the beach.
No, training. And
I
even
was
the
like,
battle
hey,
scene
you
on
just
the
want to
beach.
see women fighting each other?
Even
That's
the
kind of
battle on the
anti-feminist.
beach, I'm like, because it's like, I don't know what it is, but I feel like I think maybe you've helped me with this, but I feel like that maybe before I had a subconscious dislike towards women, and I feel like a lot of women have a dislike towards women, and you would think that doesn't make any sense because why would you dislike your own gender? But look at what's going on in our world today, and you can see that with a lot of women's rights being taken away, and the things that are the bad words that are still being slung around about women to their faces, and it's still considered not acceptable, but not really
not unacceptable.
But right, but not.
I mean, without getting too political, it's not. I mean, it's basically a fact that we elected a sexual predator into the White House who clearly has a very questionable, would be the nice word, questionable view of women and all of that.
Exactly. And I think, and it's also, so I feel like with us being together and me being more aware that there's nothing wrong with being a woman and there's nothing wrong with being a strong woman, I think that's really helped me want to have more of a unit with my own female peers and be more inspired by that instead of turned off by that. And also, on the same token, having a daughter. Because
I was about to say, we're trying to raise a strong woman now.
Yeah, so having a daughter, and I'm watching the scenes on the island with them training, and it really just warmed up my heart because I'm just like, I would love for my daughter to be strong like that. I mean, obviously not like that because they're basically gods, but to be strong and to be a fighter and to fight for what she believes in, and I feel like Wonder Woman, I think just she's such an aspirational character, and if my daughter was to be anything like that, it would be amazing. But she's only 6 months old, so.
We should mention we did take her to this movie, so she did see she did see most of it. I mean, she kind of nodded out towards the end because she was getting sleepy. It's almost 2.5 hours long, so I don't blame her.
But very action packed.
Yeah, and I've seen things online on social media and stuff about people that are like basically crying through all the action scenes because of what you said, because it's all these strong women characters. For example, this morning I listened to Kevin Smith's Hollywood Babylon podcast, and he's talking to Ralph Garman about going to see Wonder Woman, and of course he loves all of this stuff, so he's all about it regardless. And his wife is famously feminist and staunchly like anti-men and that kind of thing, and like Iron Man, Superman.
So it's weird that you can be anti-men but still marry a man, because people get that confused about feminism.
Well, I think a lot of times the attitude is towards yes, honey, towards the establishment, that the patriarchy, not necessarily individual men.
Well, Gloria Steinem got a lot of flack because she chose to get married, and like the original feminist of the 60s at least, because I know there were other feminists before her.
But she's one of the most influential now.
Yes, most influential now, before, got married, and it was this huge controversy. And it's like, well, why shouldn't, as a feminist, there's no reason you can't still, enjoy, men and being in love and whatnot. And I feel like now we have more feminists that are not just women, but men as well. And I think Steve Trevor is a great example of a feminist man, as the story went on.
We'll get to the cast in the next section, right when we're on the story in general. Do you think the fact that the story is so empowering to women, do you think that is part of why so many people were pissed about the women's only screenings thing that happening in the Alamo Draft House, or do you think it's just that it's sort of a female character that is what, honey? Kind of encroaching on a predominantly male-dominated, genre. Do you think it's kind of a combination of both?
I'm actually not surprised by the lashback. Was that what is that? Right?
Backlash.
The backlash. I have mom brain right now.
It's a real thing, guys.
Yeah. The backlash from the women's only screenings, because we've had situations where women have fought to be part of things like that, like being part of a golf club, you know, and the fact that now men are like, hey, wait a minute, why are there women's only screenings? What about us? It's like we're taking a complete reverse turn where now men are like, I want to be included too. But also, so I understand that part of it. There's also on the same side is that men have had a lot of time to exclude others. So it's kind of what's wrong with having women have their time to, you know, have their own little community and not have men in there. So how do you look at it?
I agree. I think if there's one group of people that has no right to kind of bitch about stuff, it's white men, especially after everything. And we've basically had rights since we established this country, and then everyone else has sort of had to.
Country? How about world?
Well, I was talking about U.S. specifically.
Okay, well.
Other countries have different.
We were settled by the British, remember?
I know, but go to China and see the dynamic with the gender dynamic is much different.
White men are still.
I know, but
China.
I'm saying here, you guys have. You ladies, I should say, and men and people of different orientations and ethnicities and races and all that have had to fight for it in this country. Now that you have it, but you took a long time for you to get there, and you're still like a lot of times not getting the respect that you deserve. It's still not equality, as we're seeing a lot more hate crimes, both domestically and abroad. I think that white men bitching over, oh, you mean there's a couple screenings where I can't go see the superhero movie that's playing everywhere else after the movie, and it's not even advanced screenings. It's not even opening day. It's like a week after the movie's been out. So it's like, really, you have no legs to stand on, guys. Yeah,
well, I think it's also, you know, you're not bringing up the centuries of time that white men have led this whole world. I mean.
I was trying to keep it focused to the U.S., but there's more to it, obviously.
This movie's global. It's going global. So.
Well, except for Lebanon, where it's banned. Did I tell you?
Oh, I probably read it somewhere, but we are talking about centuries and centuries and centuries of white man, oppressing everybody. So it's like, stop your bitching, white men, because, you know, you've had your time and...
Well, we talked about this on the...
But I think it's also good, though. I also think it's good, though, that... But men are so inclined to even want to see this movie in the first place. That in itself, in a way, is a surprise because
it's a comic book movie. That's why.
Yes, but people didn't really seem to be white men or men in general. Didn't seem like they were lining up to go see Catwoman or
it's
Elektra.
Terrible. That's why.
Well, how did they know that?
It's true.
You know, so yes, it's a comic book movie, but it's also a comic book movie starring a woman and a strong woman. Like it's not just like. It's not Catwoman. This is Wonder Woman. She is a goddess, and she is basically immortal. And yeah, so I think in that in itself is pretty cool that men are just like, hey, I don't want to just see this movie. I want to also hone in on your women's only screening so I can see this movie.
Like we can't let ladies start congregating together with the world. It's going to devolve into chaos, apparently. So we've kind of talked about a lot of the socio-political things behind the story, but we didn't really get into the story. So
isn't that a lot of what this is about too?
I mean, a lot of it. There's a lot of undertones in this movie. I mean, you even said we went to see the movie with a very feminist friend of ours, and you even said that there's that line where she's like, Steve Trevor says something like, "Oh, you can't do this" or whatever.
I can't allow you to do this.
Yeah, something like that. And she's like, "What I do is not up to you." And then you sort of leaned over to our friend and was like, "Yeah," about kind of getting at what. The inherent message of this film is, as far as feminism and female empowerment and stuff, and I think that the film addresses that in an interesting way, especially having Diana venture off of her island home into 1920 or whatever it is, mid 19.
Yeah,
I didn't establish the exact year. I know it was 1914 to 18, but yeah. I guess it's towards the end of the war. So let's say 1918 around there. Because she kind of turned the tide on things a little bit. Yeah. Spoilers, I guess. Spoilers, Wonder Woman kicks ass. I mean, I didn't think that was a spoiler. Coming into this world where, Steve Trevor's secretary is like, oh, this is the only way we're going to get the vote and things like that. You remember there was a line about women trying to get the vote?
Oh, because it was during the suffrage movement?
Yeah, I think so.
Ah, okay.
That whole thing. And I was like, well, that's quite a contrast. I'm glad. I think that's specifically why they chose this time period.
Well, and also, I don't know if I always like to read the trivia after I see movies because it's
on,
more
on,
fun.
on IMDb, you have to specify.
On IMDb, I read the trivia on IMDb, and it was even saying that one in the new comic book they're calling the mascara, not known as Paradise Island, and they also said that in the comic book it is set in World War II.
Right.
But they decided to.
Yeah, I knew that, and
World War
the TV show was the same. Season 1 was World War II, and then subsequent seasons were in the 70s, modern day, which is, from what I've heard, the sequel to this is going to be modern day also. So I guess
get some Bat Affleck in it.
What? Batfleck?
Is that what he's called from being Batman?
Batfleck, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Or Sad Affleck, if you're talking about the "Hello Darkness, My Old Friend," that video that came out.
Oh yeah.
Well, set to the sound of silence. So I guess we can get into some spoilers with the story. So now we're going to talk about. So if you haven't seen Wonder Woman, go see it first. But generally, we liked it, and skip ahead to the verdict. I don't know how long that would be, but just randomly hop around on the podcast until you find the verdict. So let's get into some spoiler territory. Were we happy with what happened when she left the mascara? And well, you missed a few minutes in the movie because we had a baby diaper situation, but the way that developed in London and her getting to the battlefield, like were there any sequences or any plot development? Just keep the sequences for the production part of the podcast. But were there any plot developments where you were like, "This is stupid," or did the villain twist towards the end work for you?
It's weird because I kind of feel like it worked for me. That's not who I would have cast as a villain, but these movies like to surprise you. I only saw one scene with him because I was out of the movie theater for some of it, but I wasn't really surprised. So when it happened, I was like, oh, that guy, I saw that coming. I really thought that the scene at the end with them fighting was super cool, really good effects. What did not work for me, however, was it's weird that this is a Patty Jenkins directed movie and Zack Snyder was the producer, because you could definitely see that Zack Snyder had some say in what they were going to do with the editing. I don't like Zack Snyder's slow motion movements. I don't understand why he continually keeps doing that. He's been doing that since, I guess, 300 was when we first started to notice it. That was 10 years ago. And I feel like with movement, camera angles like that, the slow motion, it actually only makes the quality of the movie look worse. Like, it just didn't look like it was really happening. And if that was a scene that there was a stunt double, I would not be surprised. Even though I don't know if there actually was, because apparently, according to trivia on IMDb, Gal Gadot was pregnant during the reshoots, so they had to angle the camera, around that. So, yeah, so that was a big part of it. It did not work for me. I didn't really like the casting of the villain.
Well, I knew about that. I knew it was him from the outset because I read things and it's like, oh, our first glimpse of David Thewlis as Ares, and I was like, well, no, thanks. I know. Was it supposed to be a twist? Because now I know who it is. So I knew that from before the movie started. That was going to be the case.
I didn't.
Because I read that, and you still saw it even though you didn't know about that.
Yeah, he just looked really ominous from one of the scenes when they're on the phone.
Did you think that there was enough balance of her being a warrior and also the love story subplot? Do you think they overdid it where you're like, oh, of course we have a woman hero, but yeah, naturally she falls in love kind of thing?
Well,
because if anything, I feel like Steve Trevor fell in love with her more than the other way around.
Yeah, and I guess he did fall hard because I was even thinking, I'm like, really?
Well, I mean, why wouldn't you?
Well, I know.
She's kind of awesome.
I feel like I kind of am in love with Wonder Woman now too.
Which is why I posted that thing on Facebook about like Gal Gadot and like her history and like who she is in real life and stuff. I didn't tag you on it, but I have to show you.
Oh, but he did seem like it happened really quickly. Like I don't know. I don't really feel like they spent that much time together. And by the time they got to London to go to the war, they kind of seemed like they stopped really talking to each other and they didn't know each other because they were so busy trying to battle. But you know what, though? It also makes sense. As a man, it's more typical that they fall harder than a woman does. So,
I don't know about that. It depends on the situation.
I mean, in a lot of cases, that's why they say a lot of times with men it's more love at first sight, and women it's more gradual. But what about you though? What didn't work for you? For the production? The
villains mostly. Like Ares, the reveal at the end was cool. That was fine. But the whole Dr. Poison thing, I felt like a lot of that was sort of drawn out.
That reminded me of Red Skull from
I can
Captain
see
America,
that. I can
actually.
see
Now
that.
I just thought about that.
Well, yeah, German bad guy in a period piece. I mean, there's a lot of things about this movie, and some people are criticizing it, saying that it's very, very similar to a fault, like to Captain America: The First Avenger, to the point that you have a person who's sort of super idealistic and powerful, and meets just like a regular soldier type person, and then they fall in love, and then one of them sacrifices themselves to save the world type of deal, and their love story kind of abruptly ends before it starts.
But both of them are men that sacrifice themselves.
Right, there's that. I thought the way that the direction, well, we're talking ahead. We're trying to talk about story, and you're going into the fight sequences. That's the production side of it. That's not story related.
Oh.
So, story wise, I mean, it was fine. It took its time. Like it didn't rush too much past things. It wasn't Avengers: Age of Ultron where there's like, here's 45 different subplots. Oh, and now it's over. And we'll see it the next time. It felt very self-contained in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Did you like the framing device that we used to sort of kick the story off?
I forgot. What was that?
The letter from Bruce Wayne with the picture and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I did. I think that was a good way to kind of...
It's kind of unnecessary, I guess. You could have just gone right into it with voiceover without having that. But I think they were also trying to tie it into the DCEU, at least tangentially, even though...
Because that's the next movie, Justice League.
Right, exactly.
So they have to do something to wrap it all up.
Yeah, and there was no post-credit scene, which I found interesting. I was wondering why they didn't do that.
Yeah,
I guess to keep it self-contained. So it would just be like, Wonder Woman, here's Wonder Woman's movie. We don't need to necessarily use it to kick off everything else. Because that's where there's a lot of...
There don't
sometimes
be any
Marvel...
other origin stories, right? It was just hers.
What do you mean?
Is there going to be an Aquaman origin story?
Yeah, probably.
There is?
Yeah, probably.
That doesn't make any sense.
Did you know Aquaman's origin?
No, but
Well,
I don't
then that's
like...
why.
But I don't like what they're doing, though.
They're doing it all out of order?
It doesn't make any sense.
Well, they wanted to get right to the team-up. They didn't want to be patient like Marvel was.
Well, because they didn't plan it.
No, exactly. Or they planned it, but they planned it ass backwards because they're like, well, the team-up will make the big money, so how do we get to that as soon as possible, basically, is what they're doing.
Well, at least Wonder Woman got hers basically first. After Man of Steel.
First, I mean, of the origin stories.
Yeah.
And we're not going to get a Batman origin story.
Yeah, we've
got
seen
it
that already.
We've got it in the opening credits of Batman v Superman. We don't need... But, I mean, I don't know
Plus, why don't you go watch the 1989 Batman or Batman Begins? Those are origins.
Batman Begins probably did it best, I think.
Well, yes.
Well, because the origin story is actually accurate to the comics. The Batman 89 is totally like, Joker didn't kill his parent. There was a whole controversy around that. Before there was even an internet, the fanboys were like, this is bullshit.
I thought that for like the longest time. I really thought the Joker...
Yeah, so did I.
And then, you get older.
Tim Burton lied to us.
Oh, not the first time.
It's true.
But
Beetlejuice isn't real either. I'm just now finding out.
Oh my God.
All this time, I'm just like, Beetlejuice, and nothing. I'm like, why is Beetlejuice ignoring me? Anyway, so let's move into the cast. Gal Gadot is a Wonder Woman, who was already basically the standout of BVS. Did she deliver on that promise here, or did you go in this hype to see Wonder Woman and you're like, who the hell is this chick trying to be Wonder Woman?
Oh, well, you obviously know my feelings, but
well, I know, but I'm setting it up.
No, I love Gal Gadot, and I've actually been a fan of her since the Fast 5 movies. I like
how it's the Fast 5 movies, even though not Fast and Furious.
Because Fast 5 brought it back.
She was in she was in the fourth one too.
Oh,
so
see, I don't know.
You haven't seen that, so...
Right. I own it. I haven't seen it. No, I loved Gal Gadot in the Fast and Furious franchise, and I loved her accent, and her acting in that was a little stale.
A little flat, yeah.
Yeah, but it's look at what she's working with. But when I heard
throwing shade at Fast and Furious, which is one of the only franchises you really like.
I know, but it's still campy and ridiculous. It's not known for its acting ability.
There's not a lot of subtext in that movie other than it's all about family.
Right, exactly. No Oscar winners except for Charlize Theron. But when I heard that she got cast as Wonder Woman, I was really happy about it. And when there was when she was getting all that controversy because she wasn't like Amazonian.
She wasn't Lucy Lawless and
Xena
Warrior Princess.
So what? I'm like, I learned about her. I learned that she was in Israel military, and that she could fight and do all that stuff. So to me, she didn't need to be a big lady, a bulky lady.
You're saying about muscles, and you're also saying about bust. You're saying both. Yeah,
yes.
that's what I'm clarifying.
Yeah, in order to kick ass. And I think as Wonder Woman, she did a great job. Her acting definitely got stepped up a little bit, and you could tell, like with Wonder Woman is like has to be everything, you know, like she needs to be kind, she needs to be nurturing like a mother, she needs to be strong, she needs to be compassionate, she needs to be beautiful. Like she's basically Superman. Superman's an alien. She's a goddess.
Well,
but
in a lot of ways, she's sort of the DC Comics equivalent of Thor, in that she comes from another world. She's sort of got these other worlds. She's a demigod like Thor is.
Apparently Hercules is, there's a storyline with her.
Hercules is her brother, probably.
Yeah,
right? Because they're both fathered by Zeus.
Right.
Sort of.
Well, except she was made out of clay, right?
Right, but Zeus gave her life. Like lightning bolt struck the clay and brought her life or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
It's all, and that's the other thing. I was worried that the origin story, which involved her being shaped out of clay, would come off kind of stupid, but they didn't really. Thankfully, they didn't try and dramatize that, and where we see Connie Nielsen, right? Nielsen?
Yeah, Nielsen.
Connie Nielsen shaping clay and everything. It was just like she just told.
Were they all demigods or just her?
I think she's the. Well, that's the big twist, which that's one part I did like. That it's revealed in the third act that she is the God Killer. And yes, I kind of knew I kind of saw that coming. That the sword is set up to be the God Killer, the one weapon that can destroy Ares. And it turns out that Diana herself is the God Killer, and she's the only one that can kill him. And of course, spoiler, she does by the end of it. I saw that coming, but it was still powerful when the reveal happened.
So she didn't even realize that she was a god.
Right. That's why
her
Hippolyta
mom
and Antiope, played by Robin Wright, who we should give her a shout out. She was awesome here too.
Yeah. I like Robin Wright.
And I like Connie Nielsen too. But I feel like all the other women, were we supposed to give a crap about any of the other ones?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, because I didn't really, I did in a general sense, but I wasn't like, oh, that lady got shot. The one lady who I don't know. But I thought Gal Gadot, to kind of piggyback off of what you were saying, I think she does have to bring a lot of layers to this performance, because she has to start off playing very wide-eyed and naive and being like, there's goodness in the world. Yay! I'm going to stop people, and people are going to go back to being all happy and not being greedy or warmongering and that kind of thing. And then by the end has a deeper understanding. There's a lot of emotional growth that happens from the beginning of the movie to the end, but she still has to start at the beginning being sort of naive, but also powerful and strong and not like an idiot. You know what I mean? Not childlike and like childlike, but not childish. Like she still has
idealistic.
Fighting. Yeah, but she's still idealistic at the end, because she says she decides to fight like. The most powerful thing is love, which sounds hokey out of context, but in the movie, it was actually very powerful. Like, there were a few moments throughout the film that I kind of got touched too, as a man. That was one. The whole no man's land sequence was one. But I think she totally nailed it. And I didn't, honestly, even though I thought she was great in BVS, she brought a lot more to this film than even I was expecting her to. And I've seen some things online where people were like, Wonder Woman, DC should make Wonder Woman the lead of their DCEU. And I sort of feel like she adds the most, she's probably the most developed character in that franchise already in one film.
Well, I also feel like she was also acting from her heart, because she has two daughters.
Yeah.
One of them I think is like 6 now, and the other one probably I think was just born last year.
Yeah, a year or two. I think, yeah.
And you could tell like she was, you could tell that she felt that for her children, that she wanted them to idolize Wonder Woman as well, and like to have that strong female character. And like it just, because even for me, I was even saying as a mom, like I'm like I think of my daughter watching that movie, and
which is why we wanted to take her with us to see it, and which is why we were also like, oh no, we'll have her on the podcast with us. It's sort of in keeping in spirit with the film, very very inclusive like the movie is. But no, and I think making her the lead of the DCU is kind of not a bad idea, considering, superhero, we were saying this afterwards, after we saw the film, that there's kind of 3 types of superheroes. There's like the goofy, ridiculous types that you're supposed to just kind of go on a ride with, like Deadpool. There's the brooding ones who like, oh, it's so much responsibility to be a superhero. And that's like Batman. I think Spider-Man sort of falls between both of those categories a little bit. And then there's the idealistic, like hopeful one that's supposed to give you something to aspire to, and that's traditionally Superman. Not really in the Henry Cavill Superman. He's been saddled with the. Well, you still haven't seen the Christopher Reeve one, so I think when you see that, you'll see a lot of comparisons between his performance as Superman and her performance as Wonder Woman. In fact, there was like basically a visual callback to that alley scene where she stops a bullet and saves Steve Trevor, because he does basically the same thing in Superman the movie. And I think Wonder Woman, that's a character. That kind of character is one that you want to be the face of your franchise. One that you want audiences to go, again, not to sound cheesy, but to go see the movie and feel inspired. Nobody came out of BVS feeling inspired. They felt inspired to like cut their wrists because it was kind of depressing and bleak. You're like, oh, this world is not worth it.
Yeah, Wonder Woman, of course, stole the show in that movie.
Yeah, she did.
And it made you excited for Wonder Woman.
Well, and she comes in there with the music and everything, and she basically, so step aside, guys, I got this. And she does the bulk of the fighting with Doomsday is kind of Wonder Woman fighting him. Batman running away, Wonder Woman fighting him, and Superman being like, I'm gonna get that weapon so I can kill him. And then, talking about BVS made our daughter upset. She's like, not that.
Just some trivia for you podcasters out there, but actually, the night we saw BVS was the weekend that weekend I had found out that I was pregnant with our daughter.
That's right. Bookends.
So there you go, bookends.
And yeah, there you go.
But I think, Gal Gadot, I mean, she was a great Wonder Woman, and she's absolutely gorgeous. And when she walks in the room with that blue dress on and everyone looks at her,
at the gala,
yeah,
like, towards
you're like, yeah, of course,
yeah.
I would look at her too. She's stunning. So I think it was just great casting, and
yeah, I hope they lock.
What she has to do next.
I hope Warner Brothers locks down Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot for at least a trilogy of Wonder Woman movies. I think it's kind of already announced that they're doing the second one, so hopefully they could. I like to get a 3 movies out of that at least, because I'm sure they have Gal Gadot signed to a multi-film contract for Justice League movie, kind of like Marvel, where they were like 6-film contract or 9-film contract or whatever, where she could be in Wonder Woman movies and as well as team-ups. So I hope to see a lot more of her going forward. So Chris Pine, what about Chris Pine as Steve Trevor?
He actually did a good job. I'm not the biggest Chris Pine fan.
You don't mind those Star Trek movies?
No, I don't. I just think he hasn't really. I don't really think his acting's ever been really that good. But in this movie, he did pretty well with what he had, and I think he did make a good lead man.
But didn't overshadow.
No.
Excuse me, but didn't overshadow Wonder Woman. He was very, very much a supporting role and kind of giving her someone to bounce off of and to contrast with, as far as ideals and that kind of thing.
I did feel
kind of
like
define her.
I did feel like some of the script though modernized him a little too much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How so?
They're just. Well, one, why didn't he speak English, like British? Why didn't he?
He's an American, I think.
Well, how did he get in British intelligence?
He was a spy. I don't know. They went through. This is another thing. I feel like this film was sort of dense in its story layer, like in the details of the story.
Yep.
Sort of like the Batman. I was telling you about this yesterday. Sort of like the Batman Nolan movies, in that I came out of seeing Batman Begins the first time thinking that I needed to see that again because I felt like a lot of the themes and a lot of nuances of the story itself sort of went by really fast, and I think that that's probably the case with Wonder Woman as well.
Why do they like to do that in these?
I don't mind it. It just makes it a richer experience when you rewatch it. I like that actually.
They want to make sure they get your money.
Well, I mean, have there really been ever any Marvel films of the MCU? And not to compare Marvel and DC, but it's kind of inevitable. Have there ever been any of them where you're like, I need to rewatch that because there's a lot of stuff that happened and I need to process? No, because they're all very
popcorny.
Yeah,
But
which is not bad. They're consistent, but you know what you're getting. It's like Marco's Pizza, which is one of the ones we get a lot, right?
Yeah.
It's good every time you get it. It doesn't blow you away, but it's consistent. It's a consistently positive experience, and that's exactly what the Marvel movies are. Every once in a while, you'll get one. You'll be like, "Holy shit, this is a really good pizza," or / Marvel film, right?
Right.
And for me, that's Civil War. That's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. There's been a few of them that are really strong, but for the most part, you're like, "Yeah, that was good. It's fine. I'll probably get it on Blu-ray because I'm a completist." But it's not like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're safe. And in DC so far, as much as people might hate Man of Steel, which I actually like a lot, it's probably a close second after Wonder Woman for me.
You also don't have much to compare it to.
Well, that's far. I mean, if you're comparing, as much as people hate BVS and Suicide Squad, those movies tried something. They tried something different. They made they introduce new characters we've never seen on screen before ever. They BVS in particular is a very ambitious story it's trying to tell, very dense, very complicated, very convoluted too, but they took chances. They did a different version of Lex Luthor that people didn't like, that I actually didn't mind that much. We have a whole episode on BVS where we talk about that. But they're thinking outside the box a little bit more, and they're trying different things. And I respect that, even when the movies don't 100% work. So I thought Steve Trevor, I don't know how we got way off topic there, but that's what we do. That's what happens when it's not just me talking. Conversation takes us in circles.
There's also a lot of freaking Chris's
there
in
is.
these worlds.
Chris Pine, Chris Pratt, Chris Evans, and Chris Hemsworth. Yeah, I think, pretty much. It's interesting with the 3 Marvel Chris's, because I feel like if you like funny guys, you got Chris Pratt. If you like nice Boy Scouts, you got Chris Evans. But if you like nice guys who are also kind of dirty and probably ride a motorcycle or have tattoos or a little freaky in the bedroom, then you're Chris Hemsworth. I feel like, you know what I mean? I feel like there's a Marvel Chris for every type of man that ladies are interested in.
And if you like the blue-eyed, well, I guess
he's not a Marvel Chris though.
No.
That's why I didn't include him, because I didn't know where to put him there.
I know. It's just confusing. There's just so many.
Too many.
Stop naming superhero
people.
films.
Stop naming. Christopher Reeve was Christian.
Yes. Oh my God.
Stop naming your Christian Bale. It's close.
It's close.
Stop naming your Christopher Nolan. Stop naming your people Chris, because unless you want them to work in a superhero movie one day, because they probably will. But stop. No, don't naming your babies Chris. We're forbidding it now.
Oh, we should name her Christina.
Oh, we should have. She'd be a superhero one day. She'd be in Wonder Woman in their reboot in 20 years.
Well, apparently Christina Hendricks, if there was another director cast, they wanted Christina Hendricks. So
see, I'm glad they didn't go with a white girl, though. I'm glad they went with someone a little more ethnic for Wonder Woman. I think that was a smart move. So Chris Pine brought a lot of humor and a lot of geniality, and basically sort of the audience surrogate in this movie, kind of entering Themyscira and being like, I don't know, what the hell, what is this place? Where are you people?
Why did he want to leave? I would have wanted to stay.
Well, because he had a duty.
Oh, what?
To get the information that he had to, because he's trying to save millions of lives.
I know.
You're like, I don't care. I want to stay with these hot women. I'm questioning you right now.
No, because that world was beautiful.
You're going to leave me for Gal Gadot, aren't you?
She ever asked? No, I'm just kidding.
Is she on your laminated list, friend style?
There you go.
So, were there any other performances we wanted to... David Thewlis was fine. He didn't have that much to do until the end when, spoilers, he's revealed to be Ares. And then it's cool that they have him in basically the DC Comics armor right from the page.
Yeah, how they got his costume.
I thought that was neat.
His war outfit.
He sort of conjured metal and melted onto his body.
Yeah.
That was neat. A lot of people kind of criticized the last 20 minutes or something for going too CG with it. But I mean, you have 2 gods fighting. What do you expect?
Sort of.
Well, sort of, but you were like, Man of Steel, too much destruction. I'm like, well, hello, same thing.
Well, but he was, yeah, okay, you're right.
Yeah, exactly.
He was fighting another alien.
But
they weren't destroying buildings.
And
Those people did that themselves.
No, they weren't.
They did that themselves.
They weren't destroying buildings.
Okay, I don't mean to sound
what does it matter, honey?
melancholy here, but when she said, oh, humans are everything you said they are, but they are so much more than. I'm like, no, we're not.
Yes, we are. She's idealistic. I'm glad you're not Wonder Woman. You'd be like, yeah, you're right, Ares. These guys stupid. Let them kill each other, and then we'll rule again.
Well, I don't think that what he wanted to do was right. I agree with her. She shouldn't have been.
Well, that's
I agree
good.
that she should have. But it's also she's so idealistic. She's just like, yes, humans are so great. I'm like, yeah.
Well, she saw the
Not
potential in humanity because through Steve Trevor, that was the whole
Well,
point.
we did have potential back during those days. I don't know.
Now we have
I think we're all gonna.
Now it's just harder to see the potential, I would argue.
Yes, sort
And
of.
I'm sure they'll get to that in Justice League because she's going to be modern Diana in that one again, like she was in BVS. So, were there any other performances we wanted to mention? We already talked about Connie Nielsen and Robin Wright and how they're sort of limited screen time, but they do a lot with what they have. I kind of wish we got more Robin Wright. Unfortunately, she was not in this very much. Yeah, so did I. Danny Houston, Stryker from X-Men Origins Wolverine, who also played the villain in that comic book, that vampire movie, the Josh Hartnett, 30 Days of Night. He was the villain in that, which I didn't care for that movie, but a lot of people like it. Everyone else, all of the soldiers, quote soldiers, because they're not really soldiers, they're just mercenaries and such, that Steve Trevor recruited, they were all fine. They were just, I I wasn't blown away by a lot of the supporting players, but I don't think we're really supposed to. I think it's pretty much Diana and Steve Trevor, and then everybody else is sort of there. But there wasn't nothing egregiously bad about any of them, though. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I didn't really know who those characters were, and it does make me think again about Captain America, and I keep wanting to call him Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
But he's not Steve Rogers.
No, he's not.
Steve Trevor.
He's not Steve Rogers. I'm glad that you made that distinction. So do you want to just go into the production? Let's go into the production. So how was the action in this movie? Not very good, I guess. How was the action in this movie? Remember, this was the second feature film for Patty Jenkins. Like, she's directed like TV movies and TV episodes and stuff, but this is the only second movie, like major motion picture that she's directed after Monster, which was 14 years ago or something.
Yeah, that's about right.
How was the action, other than the slow down motion thing that you mentioned earlier?
I liked the action a lot. I thought it was there were scenes with Wonder Woman where she did things with her bracelet or her
armbands.
Her armbands.
Bracelet.
Her sword that was like, you're like, whoa, and like just I thought the action was actually really good and really fun.
I would sort of argue against your criticism of the slow motion, because I feel like for a film like this, it's supposed to basically trying to recapture what it would feel like on the comic book page, where you get the splash pages, where you know when you.
Are you sure about that? And it's not just a Zack Snyder thing.
A splash page is when you open a comic book and it's like 2 pages, one image across the whole thing.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like when they
Archie comics.
Right. Okay. Whatever. And I feel like when they slow it down, it's sort of them just being like, sort of like freeze framing the splash page moment of her like moving around, like swinging the whip or the lasso.
I think you're putting too much.
No, but
I think it's really Zack Snyder.
Okay, what Zack Snyder movies have done that?
I thought.
Go ahead.
Well, 300, right?
Okay, based on a comic book.
Man of Steel?
Based on a comic book.
Well, what is his deal?
BVS, based on a comic book. Watchmen. Exactly.
Well,
have you seen Dawn of the Dead? Didn't do that, I don't think. And Sucker Punch did a little bit. But that was trying to be a comic book, but it wasn't. It was more.
No, I think it's just Zack Snyder's thing.
But I think it works for these movies. This is not even his movie.
But he's a producer.
Well,
he's
sort
probably
of
getting some say in the editing.
Yeah, he's also kind of the overseer of the DCEU thus far. He did
I'm glad he didn't
2 of the 4 movies.
I'm glad he didn't direct this.
Well, I'm glad they got a female perspective.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm not a big Zack Snyder fan.
Oh, you're not gonna be happy with Justice League then.
I guess
probably.
not. I like what he does with I like some of his style points, like his coloration of the films are kind of cool. But I don't know. I just don't really like his scripts. They're always very dark.
He didn't even write most of those movies.
Yeah, he didn't?
No.
Oh. I don't know.
You don't like...
I just don't think that he should keep doing this.
You're a hater of his sensibility.
Yes.
And we should mention, while we're criticizing Zack Snyder, our hearts go out to Zack Snyder in the situation he's dealing with his family. Or however we feel about his movies, that's totally separate from him as a human being, obviously.
Right, of course.
But there's a lot of people online that when that happened, they were like, "Oh, fuck that guy" or whatever. And I'm like, "You terrible human beings." There's a lot of terrible human beings.
I say human
I know. Well,
screwed.
not everybody. Not everybody is. There are some people that are screwed. She killed that German guy thinking he was Ares.
Didn't she feel bad about it?
No. After she realized it wasn't Ares, she's like, "Things are supposed to be different." I'm like, and then she's like, "I guess I just straight up murdered this dude." Oh well. He was bad anyway. He had it coming. Somebody's gonna kill him. Right?
He's going to be Wolverine at some point, too.
Yeah, he's going to. So I didn't mind. I could see what you're saying. They did do that probably a few times. Calm down. Probably a few times more than I would have liked. But I think for the most part, it sort of worked. I really liked the No Man's Land sequence. I sort of mentioned it earlier.
Oh, yeah.
That was one of the best. And apparently they reshot that. Like, I don't know if that was not going to be in the movie or what was happening.
So that's probably when she was pregnant, then.
Maybe. But that whole scene where she basically like leads a charge. She's revealed in her costume for the first time in full, and she sort of leads the charge across there, securing passage for all these people that were kind of dying and starving and couldn't get. I thought that was really powerful and stood to the and was her kind of her full emergence as a hero moment. Where she put herself on the line to save all these people. By herself, where everyone else was like, "If that's suicide, we're staying back." She's like, "Fuck you. This is the right thing to do. This is what I'm going to do."
But she wasn't, if she got hit by a bullet, she wouldn't die anyway, right? Because she's,
Amazon's got, I don't know, is she 100% bulletproof? I don't know. We didn't ever see her get shot.
That's true.
We saw one of the other Amazons get shot, and that was another moment that during the action scene on the beach that I thought really worked, where she's like, "What's this thing flying by?" And they put it in slow motion so that you could sort of get into her head of like she's never seen a bullet before, she doesn't know what's happening. Mm-hmm. I thought that really worked. All the action was good. I thought the score by Rupert Gregson Williams was really strong, and I like that he brought back Junkie XL's.
Of course. So if that's not in the movie, it's like, what the hell is this?
Because that would have been disappointing. I mentioned to you before.
And they played it a lot, too.
They played it about 2 or 3 times, I think.
Yeah.
And just the look of the film, it looked like a period movie. Like, I don't know I don't know what Patty Jenkins did. I don't know if it's the filter or just like the color scheme of the art direction or what they did, but it felt like a period movie. Like you could sense the setting in the art direction and such. So I think they did a good job making it feel sort of authentic to that time. Probably in a much better way than Captain America: The First Avenger. Actually, it felt more authentic than that film did.
More gritty.
More authentic to the time period. Like I believe this was World War I time more than I believe that was World War II. I think you know what I mean.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think it's in a lot of ways it's a better movie. I do think there are some moments with the action where the CG is a little too obvious. Or a little borderline goofy, and some of the dialogue.
Is that because of the budget, though? That was budget was
maybe
lower.
Well, the budget was 149, which is a lot. It sounds like a lot, 149 million, but compared to movies like Avengers and Civil War or whatever that are like 250, 300. I think even Man of Steel was probably at least 200. I mean, that's sort of on the lower side, but I think that was a smart move considering Wonder Woman's never been in a movie, and I think WB was kind of hedging their bets on being like, well, let's see how this goes. And now that this is doing so well, the second one will probably have over 200 something.
Right, because they haven't had the best luck with their movies. They've all been basically panned.
Well, critically panned, but making a shit ton of money. Even Suicide Squad made like 800 million.
Well, are
worldwide.
they making Marvel money though?
They haven't crossed $1 billion with any of them yet.
Because I think the reviews are also hurting them.
Right.
Versus like, it's a Marvel movie now, even if it's crappy, which most of them aren't.
No, most of them are good, but they still have... Marvel has that audience goodwill where they'll do a movie with a dude that turns into, like, shrinks to the size of an ant, and people will be like, yeah, okay, and they'll go see it. And it makes $200 million domestic because it's Marvel's name on the front.
And that's why their logo's so long.
I think if DC made a Cyborg movie now, I think people would be like, the fuck is this? Terminator? But, like... Not? Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know. I don't think they're quite there yet, but honestly, I think Wonder Woman is exactly the movie they needed right now to sort of...
I think it's the movie we all needed right now.
Well, I mean, from that standpoint of the feminism stuff, but also just like what DC and Warner Bros. Needed to kind of save... Honey, come on, we're almost done. To kind of save their brand and get people hyped up about Justice League and whatever else they have in store. I think that was a smart decision on their part. So that's actually a good segue into the verdict. So... Where do you land on this? You actually gave this a pretty solid rating on Letterboxd, especially considering you're usually not. Yes, honey. What do you want to weigh in on this? She liked it too, by the way. Translation: she's like, I liked Wonder Woman more. That please. She wants to go see it now. That's why she's upset. So what was your rating for Wonder Woman? You should share that with the people.
On Letterboxd, I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. Maybe that was very generous. I barely give movies like 4s, but I liked it a lot, and I liked how it just really touched my heart.
I was about to say it sounds like it kind of touched me in an emotional way. It resonated with me,
and it spoke to me as a woman. It spoke to me as a mother. It spoke to me as a human being. So it just I thought it was great and a lot of fun. And I mean the dialogue scenes were a little boring, but people have to talk, or else how are you gonna know anything about the story? So it worked.
It's past her bedtime. You guys can talk. So where did it rank for you? Where did it rank for you with the other DCEU movies? Like, what are your thoughts comparatively with Man of Steel, BVS, and Suicide Squad?
Liked it better than all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Significantly better. It sounds like.
Yes.
Like I think you didn't give any of the other ones higher than a 3-ish. 3, maybe 3.5. I don't remember what.
Yeah, Man of Steel always just felt too long, and I was really bothering me with all the destruction.
It's about the same length as Wonder Woman, by the way.
See, exactly. It felt just a BVS. It wasn't as bad. It didn't deserve the flack that it got, but it also wasn't that great either. It was.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that.
Oh, Martha,
where'd you see that name?
And Suicide Squad. Well, I was hoping that would be a little bit I was hoping it was going to be better because it was very hyped up and it looked fun, but nope.
Just a strong marketing campaign.
Yeah.
So if you like, which one you like the least? Let's rank them. Wonder Woman the best, which I agree with. I agree. I would probably go still 4 out of 5. For me, it barely edges out Man of Steel. I actually do like Man of Steel a lot, and I think that works for a lot of the same reasons that Wonder Woman works, which is weird. Even though it doesn't have quite the same, it's not as uplifting or as compassionate as Wonder Woman, obviously. But I do feel like Man of Wow, you reached the breaking point. We'll wrap it up. I do feel like Man of Steel was a much stronger film than the 2 that followed. So for me, it's Wonder Woman, Man of Steel, BVS, and Suicide Squad.
I don't know. For me, Wonder Woman.
So for you, it's Wonder Woman and then 3 crappy movies you don't care about?
Sort of. Like, I don't want to see Man of Steel again.
That's how a lot of people feel, I think.
And obviously, you go from Suicide Squad with Harley Quinn, where she's basically a sexualized
nut job.
Yeah, to Wonder Woman, who's like the quintessential, like, just
Harley Quinn's an iconic DC. No, I almost said Marvel. Sorry, that would have been like, you asshole. An iconic DC character too in her own right, especially in the last decade or so. She didn't come around till the 90s, so she's catching up fast.
Yeah, but you got two sides to the coin here. But
are you excited to see the future Wonder Woman, like in Justice League or in sequels or anything?
Yeah, if Wonder Woman, if she's gonna be in Justice League, which she will.
She's gonna be. Sounds like
that's good.
Her and Batman sort of leading the charge in that one. Batfleck, exactly. So, I mean, I think that's all we got for Wonder Woman now. We have to put a baby to bed.
Yeah.
You guys actually have like a live degradation of our daughter's patience with going to bed. She's like, it's my bedtime, assholes. And we're like, okay, calm down. We'll get you there. Relax. We're talking about Wonder Woman, Zoe. We both really liked Wonder Woman. Definitely go see it if you haven't. It's made over $100 million its opening weekend, so chances are you probably did see it.
Hell yeah.
So we're super hyped for this sequel. Maybe less so for Justice League, especially since it does have Zack Snyder and it has to balance 45 other characters who we haven't seen an origin of. But you know the origin of the Flash, sort of. You saw the pilot of the show.
Well, November's gonna be a big month. Just
Ragnarok,
Thor, and Justice League.
I'm more excited
10 days afterwards.
I'm more excited about Ragnarok than I am Justice League.
Yeah.
It just looks like fun, and Marvel films in their third installment have sort of taken the we don't give a shit approach and be like, fuck it, we're gonna do what we want for this third one. Civil War and Iron Man 3 have sort of just thrown the rules out the window. So hopefully that'll do the same. But I'm still excited for Justice League. Maybe slightly more because I feel like I'm going to be more rooting for Wonder Woman now that I've seen this film. And obviously, congratulations to Gal Gadot and Patty Jenkins and everyone involved. This is kind of a big deal. We finally have a good... Honey, chill out. We finally have a good female-driven comic book / superhero film. So it's kind of cool to see little girls running around like in Wonder Woman outfits, getting dressed up for the movie and stuff. And I hope that this movie inspires them in the same way that the Batman 1989 and stuff inspired us.
Yeah.
So.
And now our daughter has a hero to look up to, a heroine to look up to.
Other than you, though.
Other than me.
That concludes our review of Wonder Woman. I just wanted to thank Kai for coming back on the podcast after 8 months.
I guess it was that long, yeah.
I'm going to try and get you back for a future episode later this month. Maybe we'll have to record it earlier in the day so we don't have this little monster over here being so upset. But thanks for coming back and talking Wonder Woman with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me back on the show.
That'll conclude this episode of the Crooked Table Podcast. You can go and rate and review us on iTunes if you'd be so kind. Also, find us on Stitcher. You can find me on Twitter at Crooked Table and Kai on Twitter at The Vault Key LLC. We're also on Facebook and all the other social medias. Find more podcast reviews, videos, and other movie-related goodies at crookedtable.com. As for next week, we're going to be talking about The Mummy. Yes, the new movie, but also the 1999 version with Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz, and John Hannah. Maybe talking about some other movie too. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to see Rough Night or All Eyes on Me or something. There's a few movies coming out next week. But until then, I've been Rob. We'll catch you around the table next week. Roll credits.
This has been a production of crookedtable.com. All rights reserved.
CROOKED.